What is going on, guys? It is Ahmed, and I am back today on Monday, a day that the market was actually closed due to President's Day, to give you guys a new product, a new business, a new company that I want you all to put on your watch list. That is CLBS Biosciences, and that's the ticker symbol for them is CLBS. I'm going to dive deep into this company, guys, because thank you for everyone who put it on my radar. It was brought up about on the Discord. One of my friends actually mentioned it to me, and he asked me for my thoughts on it. So I did a deep dive on it, and I was very, very impressed. Before I continue, I do want to give a quick shout out to all our new Patreon members. As you guys know, I did create a Patreon page just about 4 or 5 days ago. And since then, we're at 42 members on the Patreon. So the new members, I just want to give you all a quick shout out. That is Alom, Steve, Tlingit, Sharif, and Shaluuddin, I think is the name. So again, I appreciate all of you guys for joining me on this journey. Feel free to join the Patreon. I will start having weekly phone call or weekly conversations and a Discord call with all my Patreon members to make sure we all stay, interacting with each other, talk about, the buys and sells for the week and the weekly plan moving forward. So please feel free to join us on the Patreon. Use the link below. Also, just join the free Discord if you'd like to talk about all things stocks. We just hit 4,000 members, so shout out to all of you. So as I mentioned, I'm going to talk about CLBS. Guys, this company, first thing that I always do when I look into a biopharmaceutical company is I want to look at the management and to make sure, that checks off. So again, their CEO is David Mazzo, who is a PhD. I will make my screen small here so you guys can see better. But again, this guy has a pretty strong track record. He's worked for pharmaceutical companies for 35 plus years, as you can see here. In addition to that, the chief medical officer, he's actually at a Duke University where he was a surgeon. That is Robert Hoimberg. And again, both of these guys have very strong track records. Dr. Hoimberg has over 30 years of clinical and medical leadership experience in pharmaceutical, device, digital, and diagnostic companies. So again, fits the profile that we're looking for a chief medical officer for a company like this. Now let's go ahead and move forward into why I like this company and what excites me about it. So they do have this fact sheet within their website, which kind of did all the deep dive for me, but I didn't want to go ahead and fact check it, which I did. But remember, everyone, before I do a deep dive on the video, this is not financial advice, of course. I am doing this for educational and entertainment purposes only. So please do your own due diligence, do your own research before you invest in any company I talk about or anyone else does in or on the YouTube platform. So CLBS Biosciences, again, it's a clinical stage biopharmaceutical company dedicated to the development of cellular therapies designed to reverse disease. This is just mind-blowing, next level, new, innovative, all the words that we like when it comes to companies. So what they're looking at is CD34 plus cell therapy, and that's pretty much all the things that are in their pipeline. So we'll just call it CD34 from here on out, but just know that's exactly what they're working on here. And you could see what developmental stages they're in. 2B trials for this coronary microvascular dysfunction. They have all these different things, and again, I'll kind of talk about them. Looks like, again, the big thing that we want to look at is Hondera here, critical limb ischemia, and Brugger's disease. So again, they talk about Brugger's disease, So registration eligible for Japan, which is currently ongoing for Japan approval. And as you can see, they have key milestones and targets on the right-hand side here. So fourth quarter 2021 to complete the enrollment for this 2B, which again is going to be with humans in their trials. Top line data to be hopefully produced by 2022. So again, I bring this to you guys' attention because this is early. What should be all considered is early investors in this company. Now, big thing that I want you to all realize too. Let's look at their financials. So again, they have a very strong balance sheet, $40.3 million in cash and cash equivalents. That is as of 9/30/2020, so Q4 2020, with no debt and cash runway projected to fund operations through 2021, all of this year. No debt and cash runway. Guys, very important for these pharmaceutical companies that they don't have any debt. So very good information there. Now, what is CD34 plus and what is the cell therapy platform that they're actually working with? So I really like the image that they have here. So again, the big focus is we're going to talk about cardiovascular disease and cardiovascular, so strokes, that kind of thing, MIs or myocardial infarctions, ischemia, all these things. Myocardial infarctions being heart attacks. Guys, I'll try to slow down to just make sure I don't talk too much medical jargon. But as you can see here, here's you and I, someone who particularly has probably healthy blood vessels. you could see the normal capillaries, healthy tissues looking very solid, very good, very perfused, lots of perfusion, everything looks normal there. Now, when we get compromised due to ischemia, right? So if you have high cholesterol, for example, you might have things like plaques that are built up in your blood vessel. So if you have these things occurring in the blood vessels, when you have compromised capillaries, you get underperfusion, which leads to tissue death and adverse events that we don't like, poor outcomes for patients. So the augmented microvasculature with the CD34 is, again, this is something that is injected into the blood vessels, which can, again, potentially create newly formed capillaries, which in turn causes, underperfused tissue to become reperfused. And when it's reperfused, that's when we bring oxygen back into it, and then, good things happen. That's what we call good outcomes. That is what we ultimately want. This is not something that's obviously available currently, and instead we do things like stenting, or there's just so many different procedures that are done to revascularization procedures to kind of help get oxygen and the tissues back to being perfused. And remember, this is not medical advice either. So naturally occurring endothelial progenitor cells that reestablish blood flow to underperfused tissues. And again, some of the thing that I really like is the fact that what they do is, so they do apheresis. So they take a sample from a patient. On day 2, they'll isolate, concentrate, and formulate, because again, the CD34 comes from one's own self. So they're pulling it out of a person and ultimately re-injecting it right back in. The sample itself returned for administration to the same patient by injection, site indication dependent. So drug-induced mobilization eliminates need for surgical bone marrow aspiration. No genetic manipulation or ex vivo expansion of cells. So they're not really doing much outside of it. 4 days or less from the donation to the treatment, which again, you're donating to yourself. You don't need to find a donor by any means. You can just do it for yourself. And then cost of goods, an order of magnitude less expensive than a CAR T therapy. So again, we can literally just copy CAR T therapy, because I don't want to give you guys an abbreviated version, but if you just Google CAR T therapy, you could see is a form of immunotherapy that uses specialized altered T cells, a part of the immune system, to fight cancer. So we talked about this in a recent video. I don't want to dive too deep in it, but again, this is different than that in particular. So guys, this company really excites me because we know cardiovascular disease is something that plagues the entire world. Because of our current diets, we have the standard American diet here in the United States. We don't eat enough omega-3 fatty acids. We don't eat enough anti-inflammatory foods that can help us reduce our cardiovascular disease prevalence and incidence. But because of the fact that we're eating bad diets, we have genetic predispositions for cardiovascular disease. Time and time again, we are seeing that more and more people, and as time goes on, if you look at an X and Y axis, there's an increase. There's this progression, linear or exponential almost, that more and more people are getting cardiovascular disease. So when there are companies that are trying to address this issue by looking at revascularization, or again, augmented microvasculature, this here really excites me. And again, I want to learn more about it, but I need to get this video out there tonight before the market opens tomorrow for anyone that might get intrigued or interested to do your own research and potentially buy into it. I have not established the position yet, and I will be doing so tomorrow ASAP, because again, this company is very young and we'll talk about it. So again, guys, one that I really think you should look into, again, very early, so you can wait some time before some news might be coming out, maybe in the near future. Looks like maybe end of 2021, 2022, but I need you guys to keep this on your radar, because you ask me, how do you always get into some of these stock picks before they run up? And this is how I look into it. I put it on my watch list and I hold on to that watch list and keep an eye on it on a day-to-day basis. Are they going to be presenting at a big conference soon? Are they going to be closing in on one of their phases of clinical trials? I await these things and I patiently wait, and hopefully with the channel and me making these videos, I can continue to produce these things for you guys so you can keep up with me and keep up with these kind of stock picks that I mentioned. And that's something that I promise to continue doing, God willing. So let's look at the price action and let's look at what the stock analysts are saying. So first and foremost, guys, CLBS currently sitting at $2.33 at the time of this recording, $2.44 in the after hours aftermarket. So tomorrow in the morning, I'm expecting it to open somewhere around there at the $2.44, $2.45 range. If you look at the 1 year, it did peak. I think they actually said 350. again, about $3, so it hasn't done much. But if you look at even the 5-year, there was some excitement, and it was $8.30. So it's down quite a bit since then, because again, it's such an early stage biopharmaceutical company. So again, really a lot of people ended up just selling a lot. So regardless, it looks like a lot of people have been selling their shares because not a lot of news has been coming out. But now we're starting to see in Japan potential approval. They're working with the FDA to make a phase 3 trial on one of their products. Let's go back here. You can see, let's see here. So in the USA right here, chronic kidney disease, again, revascularization. One of the big things that causes people to, CKD, chronic kidney disease, is that you get poor perfusion to your kidneys, which ultimately leads to, cell death. We know that. So, which, in turn causes people to need things like transplants, etc. So the fact that they're looking at this, and again, they're in phase 1 of 2. So phase 1 to 2 in the USA for clinical initiation pending. We're waiting for it to actually enter into clinical trials. So very, very early on. Initial enrollment looks like quarter 2 or quarter 3 of 2021, which is huge because that means the FDA has started to allow them to potentially tap in. No option refractory disabling angina. Look at this, phase 3 clinical trial in the USA, initiation pending. So complete development pending FDA discussions and completion is one of the key milestones they're looking for. Guys, keep this on your radar. So as I mentioned, 2:44 at the time of the recording, 12-month forecasts. So we were looking here, you saw it here first. $14 is the what they're saying. It's a moderate buy from H.C. Wainwright. Joseph Panigan's here. He's saying that it's a $14 price target for it. So what is that? That's not a 5, that's a 6x. It's actually almost a 7x in price. So that's some huge potential gains. And you could see at a very low, people are saying $6, which is 157% increase. And that's reiterated. So this is the most recent, which really excites me because this, especially this guy, 75% successful track record. That is pretty exciting with this Joseph dude. So shout out to Joseph for, putting this one at a $14 price target, but there's a lot of reasons for that. And I kind of talked about them throughout my video today. So, and what are the institutions doing, right? We want to also talk about what are these institutions doing, the big dogs. And you can see Vanguard, 12 last week in February 12th. Again, they're holding their positions. Northern Trust Corp, they increased their position. All these different, anything you see green here, increased positions. Yes, a few people did sell out. Looks like end of last year, beginning of this year in January after a run up. But again, recently in February, we're seeing either new positions established or increasing in positions. So, we talk about Vanguard quite a bit on the channel. So let's pull up Vanguard's position here if my internet decides to work, which it finally did. So I guess they don't want to show the specific graph that I used from my previous video, which I really liked. But regardless, guys, I need you to keep CLBS is the ticker symbol, Calidrius Biosciences on your watch lists. And again, as always, use the Webull link below if you do want 4 free stocks. I don't want to drag on this video too long when you deposit $100. And, everybody stay safe in the market. It's going to be an exciting week, short week. We're going to start on Tuesday trading, but we'll see how it goes. And as always, until next time, keep investing.